Welcome to the High Level Wife Podcast. This is a space for Christian wives who love God, want their marriage healed, and are done performing, fixing, striving, or trying to control their way to change. Here we're going to talk about marriage God's way through right order, surrender, heart posture, and spirit-led transformation. This is not self-help, it's discipleship. My name is Chelsey Holm, and my role is to help you move from awareness into obedience so real healing, wholeness, and restoration can take root. Let's begin. Welcome back to the High Level Wife Podcast. I'm Chelsey Holm, your host, and we do marriage God's way here, and that includes the right order with God first, then you taking care of your temple, then your spouse, then your kids, then your work, and then everything else. That's the order, and we stick to it. All right. So the last episode I did was about how to keep your marriage a priority, right? So that your summer doesn't become kid-centric, kid-focused with everyone being off school. And so now I want to share 10 rules to actually enjoy summer instead of survive it, because you're probably asking, okay, cool, but what do I actually do Monday morning? Well, I'm recording this as of Monday morning, so I don't know when you're going to be hearing this, but whenever you're hearing this, what are you actually going to do tomorrow morning? So these aren't rules for control. These are actually rules that create freedom. So I want you to really latch on to that, because what we don't want is we don't want to turn into this super rigid structure, routine, where there's no margin for fun and enjoyment, or we don't want it to be so overscheduled that, again, there's no margin for connection and enjoyment. So this, again, is the 10 rules to actually enjoy summer instead of surviving it. So rule number 1 is keep rhythms, not rigid schedules, because children thrive with predictability. And this means that there's consistent wake-up times and consistent bedtimes. It means there are predictable meal windows and there's a basic daily flow. It's not minute by minute planning. So rhythm creates safety, rigidity, say that 5 times, rigidity, being rigid, creates pressure. And so it's really important that you really latch onto this concept, especially as women who want to control everything. Okay. So I'm going to say it again. Rule number 1, keep rhythms, not rigid schedules. There are going to be things in your day that are set in stone at times, right? Like starting tomorrow, both my oldest girls have cheer practice. So we're going to fit that in, but we're still going to have rhythms of what our mornings look like. We're going to have rhythms for meals. We're going to have rhythms for what does bedtime look like? What throughout the day are we engaging in? And most importantly, we're creating space with a lot of margin for the connection. Rule number 2 is get their input before summer starts. Now, okay, you're hearing this well after summer has started. I get that, but it's never too late for you to make these shifts and establish these rhythms and routines in your family. So instead of saying, here's what summer is to your kids, ask them, what do you want summer to feel like? What are the activities that matter most to you? What do you want to learn? And what sounds fun to you? What this does is it creates buy-in, it creates ownership, and honestly, it creates fewer complaints. And so my design for this is having a family meeting where this just sounds fun to me, is like giving my kids more of a survey or a quiz of, getting some of the activities, and these have to be inexpensive and local, right? Otherwise, my kids are all going to put Disney World on there, and that's not happening, right? But it gives them that buy-in so that they're actually getting to decide how we spend our time and our energy this summer. And it doesn't become this, well, this is mom's grand idea for the summer, but nobody else actually, like, it's not their idea either. Because at the end of the day, what kids really want is connection with you. Kids want to be seen and they want to be heard, right? They don't just want to go do a bunch of activities together, right? They want that connection. So rule number 3 is daily disciplines before daily freedom. So freedom works better after responsibility. Freedom to be able to maybe watch some TV, freedom to maybe, um, spend some time playing outside or working on something with a sibling or, you know, doing a craft or whatever the activity is for that day, right? So before any of that takes place, we would focus on making the bed, getting dressed, brushing your teeth, Bible and devotional time, right? Movement, getting our bodies moving. It was so funny this morning as I was doing my workout. I think it's because I cranked up my music and Sheena Taylor's I Denounce You, Satan. Total banger, total worship rocks. Like, I just love it. So good. Anyway, I had cranked it way up, and I think because he heard how loud it was, he came downstairs and he was like, I want to work out with you. And I was like, awesome. Right. Again, I haven't implemented yet, but it's no different than our simple rhythms and routines during the school year. It's just making some minor adjustments because we're all home all the time, right? So I don't want you to think like, oh, well, you haven't even done this yet. Oh no, trust me. We do these things, and this is why our house is such a house filled with peace because we have these rhythms in place and we're just making adjustments for the summer. So anyway, back to this. So before screens, right? Movement, reading, chores, because privileges flow easier when responsibility comes first. Right. We don't really use chore language. We use you're a part of this family, we're a team, and we all have a responsibility to keep this space and to maintain the environment for peace for all of us, right? Because nobody wants mom and dad yelling around, yelling and running around, and nobody wants to live in that kind of space. So we do all this to work together as one team, one unit. Rule number 4, big rocks, pebbles, and sand. I just talked about this with prioritizing your marriage in summer. But big rocks are like vacations, camps, major activities, church events, sports. Pebbles are like library day or splash pad or spending time with grandparents or spending time with friends. And then the sand is all of the spontaneous fun or extra outings or bonus activities. But unfortunately, most families are going to fill with the sand first, and then it's going to quickly feel overwhelming because now you have all of this chaos around the things that were already set in stone, and you burn through summer at light speed with no margin for rest or connection, and that's not the point. Rule number 5, create default activities. So boredom isn't bad, but default options help. And so some examples of this are like having an art station or outside toys. We have a trampoline outside and we have bikes, and we have a basketball hoop, which actually needs to be repaired. But, we have these kinds of things outside. We have books. In our rhythm, we're incorporating a library day. And so that's just part of it, that we have books for everyone to read. We have building toys, right? Like we have Legos, we have blocks, we have all those things, we have crafts. You could even incorporate like some backyard challenges, and just create the environment and the tools that they can utilize of when you're bored, here are your choices. And another thing that you can do is rather than your kids being able to say, I'm bored, instead train them to say, how can I help? And I betcha you will find that they don't say I'm bored any longer because they don't want to help. Right? So problem solved. Okay. Rule number 6, screens are planned, not accidental. And they're also like this is up to you. It could be a part of the rhythm. Like there's a lot of times where like in the morning, my kids will watch a couple cartoons, and that's totally fine because it's kind of like easing into our mornings, and that's okay for us as a family. And there are seasons where that's not okay, right? Like during the school year, there's no TV during the school week, during the days, especially not during the mornings, right? But we have a little bit more laid back schedule now that it's summer. And so you need to understand the warning that screens expand to fill empty space. And if you don't go on the offense with this and create a plan of when, how long, and how it's earned, TV is going to become the default in the schedule, and then you are going to spend all of your energy battling and negotiating, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that, right? I mean, I've said in the past that it's easier for me to just be like, no technology, right? Than to enforce the rules that we have around it. So maybe that's your jam. Maybe no TV, maybe no screens all summer. I don't know. Or how are they going to earn it, right? Do they need to go through their daily disciplines of working out and spending time with the Lord? Do you have a family devotion time each morning? This is something we're going to begin implementing, which we've done in the past in the evenings. It was in super early mornings before school. And we've this one has been changing because it's a priority. We're trying to figure out how it best fits for everyone in our family, and there's 7 of us, so it's a little bit more challenging. But like going through those things, how do they earn that TV, or how long is it? Because we have 5 kids, so if I'm like, oh, everybody gets to watch an hour, well, now we've got 5 hours of TV going on, and that's not acceptable. Like, we're not doing that. We're not playing that game. So you have to be intentional about this. Rule number 7 is protect outside time. Your kids need sunlight. They need to be bored because through boredom is what sparks creativity and curiosity. They need movement, they need dirt, and they need adventure. And honestly, so do moms. Like, we need to get outside. I love my porch sitting in the sun. It's one of my favorite things to do. And our kids need that too. Our kids need to get outside. They need to breathe fresh air. They need to be in the sun. They need their toes in the grass. They need their fingers in the dirt, right? Protect that outside time. Rule number 8, everyone contributes. Summer should not mean that mom becomes full-time servant, okay? Because this is how you quickly get overwhelmed and frustrated and run around yelling like a chicken with her head cut off, right? Focusing on all the messes. So instead, create rotating lunch responsibilities. Some my kids are older. I've got a 14 soon to be 15. I've got a 13 soon to be 14, and I've got a 12-year-old. Like, they can take over lunch responsibilities or breakfast responsibilities, right? Like, or maybe dinner responsibilities. And maybe that's you helping, or maybe that's them completely taking it over. And it doesn't have to be hard, for Pete's sakes. You could have them do hot dogs and fruit, or and vegetables, right? Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. Create room for a daily reset. For us, this is usually at night before we do any kind of watching screens or anything. Like, we have a reset. A lot of times I'll do it before dinner because it's just easier for everyone else to do a tidy while I'm in the kitchen, or I'm helping another child in the kitchen with something like that, right? So going around, like, let's tidy up, let's get everything back into order. And if you have taken the time in your house to declutter and organize and make sure everything has a place, this goes really, really fast. And then after dinner, it's a quick tidy up after that, right? Of wiping counters and loading the dishwasher and running it and sweeping floors. Like, it gets very easy that way. Creating, my kids already know that what their responsibilities are in the house for helping. But if your kids don't have responsibilities in the house yet, like taking out the trash or unloading the dishwasher, or vacuuming, or whatever it is, like, establish these, because we all are a team and we work together. And when everyone contributes, this means helping siblings, right? We all live here, we all contribute. So it's not, you don't want to be where your kids will only do what you are managing them to do. You are creating intentionally these systems and these rhythms and these routines, all falling under we all live here, we all contribute, so that they actually you train them to see things, and you train them to be responsive and even proactive to help, right? So that you're not the one saying, like, help your sister, help your brother, or hey, clean this, right? Because all of the responsibilities should be covered. Just makes so much more space for peace. Rule number 9, protect margin. Do not schedule every single day. You need slow mornings and rest days and nothing days and breathing room, because overscheduling creates more fighting, not less. So create time for stillness. We do this in our our weekly spiritual disciplines, our daily disciplines of solitude with the Lord, prayer, with fasting, with Sabbath, right? So make sure you're incorporating these times, more of it, not less of it. More margin is always better. I'm telling you what. I'm telling you what. Like it is going to take so much stress off your plate, the more margin that you have. Um, I should say the more margin with structured rhythms, right? Because if you just have all margin and no structure, then that again is where chaos ensues. All right, last rule here. Rule number 10 is create the environment you want. And this is the biggest lesson because today taught you that you cannot expect peace without intentionally creating conditions for peace. So ask, what environment makes the desired behavior easier? Because summer doesn't accidentally become peaceful. Homes that flourish are built intentionally. I'll see you on the next episode.
If this episode stirred something in you, but high level wife feels like too big of a step right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to jump ahead to honor what God is doing. I created a short guided experience called From Awareness to Surrender for women who aren't ready for ongoing support but know they can't stay where they are. It includes 3 short teachings, a guided exercise, and a prayer I recorded over you. It's going to help you move from awareness into real response. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're not ready even for that, don't rush past this moment. Sit with God and ask Him what obedience looks like next.